Welcome into Phillies Daily, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Henley. Make sure you guys subscribe for more Phillies content. The Philadelphia Phillies are back from the All-Star break. They return to action tonight in South Philadelphia at Citizens Bank Park against Mike Trout and the Los Angeles Angels. That kicks off a 3-game series there in South Philly, a 6-game home stand. They play the Boston Red Sox right after they wrap up that Angels series on Sunday. And then they actually play 7 American League teams to start off this second half of the season after the All-Star break. Should be interesting, should be fun. Hopefully the Phillies can get started with a win tonight. The Phillies are in first place in the National League East. They are a half game ahead of the New York Mets. The Angels, on the other hand, are fourth in the American League West. However, they're not a horrible team. They're just 2 games below 500. Could be good, could be bad. Who knows? We'll see. We need the Phillies to come out strong. They had that win right before the All-Star break against the Padres to salvage that 3-game series where they first dropped the 2 games prior. They also dropped 2 out of 3 to the Giants in the series before, so they have 2 wins in their last 6 games. The Phillies need to get hot. They need to put their offensive struggles that they've had and experienced way too often this season, the bullpen struggles. Hopefully that can be fixed after a little break here as well, and the Phillies can get started strong here in the second half of the season in the playoff push in these final 2.5 months until the postseason starts. The last thing we want is another collapse at the end of the season and into the playoffs like last year when they won the NL East and then lost in 4 games to the New York Mets in the NLDS. That's the last thing we want. And in the city of Philadelphia, we just can't be having that 2 years in a row. Moving on to the second half of the season as the Phillies are, Johan Rojos. Let's talk about Johan Rojos. He is somebody that the Phillies are very high on. I personally am not a huge Johan Rojos guy. If you've been watching the Phillies over the last few years, you know that he's known for his speed, his elite defense, great things to have, but at the professional baseball level, at the major league level, I should say, you need to be able to hit. If you can't hit, then you're just not cut out for the big leagues. And Johan Rojos hasn't been able to figure that out, especially consistently at the major league level since he's debuted a few years ago with the Phillies. I did just mention he's known for his speed and defense. However, hasn't really been a huge part of his game, I should say. He's made some really good plays out in center field, but he actually has his lowest fielding percentage of his short career in the major leagues this year at .981. Still pretty good, but still just a little lower than you would like out of a guy who's known for his elite defense. He's made some errors. He's made some mistakes out there. He's made some really good plays, as I said. But for a guy that's known for that, he's got to be making all the plays. He's got to be making the majority of the plays. He's got to be one of the best, if not the best, center fielders defensively in Major League Baseball. His speed, also incredibly fast. He hasn't really been able to show that on the base pass just because he's not getting a lot of hits. He's not getting on base as much as he should be. He just has 12 stolen bases this year. He had 25 a year ago. I mean, he could reach that mark again this year. He still has 2.5 months to play. But 12 stolen bases through more than half of the season. It's hard to imagine he doubles that and gets more than that. So the speed in the defense, very good for Johan Rojos, but still not the best in 2025 as much as we would like to see, especially for him not producing at the plate. If you're not going to hit, you got to find other ways to help your team win. And Johan Rojos, he's doing it here and there, just not enough for me. I think the Phillies, at the end of the year or moving into next year, should try to move on from Johan Rojos and find a new center fielder. That's my opinion. Do they do it? Who knows? Probably not. We'll see. That's a discussion for later. But he definitely does need to try to turn things around and get things going here in the playoff push for the Phillies. He did start the season off pretty hot at the plate. I was impressed. I thought he was going to finally figure things out and really become a well-rounded player for the Phillies, but he cooled off tremendously in the last few months. He's actually having a pretty good July so far. Very small sample size, obviously, with the All-Star break taking up a week of action here. Only playing in a few games so far, having a few at-bats. But maybe that's a sign for things to come. And he turns things around and he gets things going in this second half of the season into the playoff and the playoff push here. He is still just 24 years old, so he's still very young. He probably came up to the major leagues a little earlier than he should have. Couldn't really develop like he probably should have down there in the Phillies farm system. He was rushed a little bit just for his defense and speed and all that fun stuff. The organization thinks very highly of Johan Rojos. Do I? Again, not really. But who am I to say? I'm not the one making the decisions here in the Phillies organization. Speaking of decisions, the Phillies have a lot of decisions to make as we near the end of this season, as we get into the offseason, as we get towards free agency after the season. Guys like Kyle Schwarber, JT Realmuto, Ranger Suarez, they are all on contract years right now in 2025, expiring contracts. Do they re-sign these guys? They are a part of the core, especially Schwarber and Realmuto, that has been with the Phillies for the past few years, helping this team reach the playoffs each of the past 3 years and on its way for a fourth consecutive year, a World Series appearance. Do you re-sign them? Who knows? They are getting older, particularly Kyle Schwarber and especially JT Realmuto, who plays a very tough position at catcher. As you get older, the knees start to give out. It's a hard position to play every day. He's 34 years old. He's not going to be able to play that forever. Eventually, if the Phillies do re-sign him, first, not going to be cheap. Not going to be too expensive like he was before, but definitely not going to be cheap. Other teams are going to be interested in him. But as I said, he won't be able to play catcher forever. He'll probably eventually have to transition to first base or designated hitter within the next couple years. Kyle Schwarber as well. He's getting up there in age. One of the best power hitters in Major League Baseball. I love Kyle Schwarber. I think the Phillies definitely have to re-sign him. He's interested in staying with the Phillies. A deal, in my opinion, has to get done there. He's one of the top leaders in the clubhouse. He's a very good hitter, especially power-wise. He makes this offense really good when it's going good. Obviously has 30 home runs so far in 2025. Won that swing off in the All-Star game for the National League. Kyle Schwarber needs a contract. Ranger Suarez is a tough one because he got a new agent, Scott Boras, the super agent this past offseason. As he was heading into his contract year, he's looking for a big payday. The Phillies already have money committed to Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, and Christopher Sanchez in the starting rotation. Jesus Luzardo is also going to be needing a payday. He has one more year on his deal right now. So next year, after that season, Jesus Luzardo is going to be in the same position as Ranger Suarez. They obviously have Andrew Painter, the number one prospect, waiting to be up in the big leagues for the starting rotation. If McAble sticks around here past the trade deadline or any other trade opportunities that may present itself further down the line, he's shown that he can be a piece in the starting rotation. They have some other guys too as well down there in the minor leagues. They just drafted a player in the first round who was a starting pitcher this past season for Arkansas. Has some bullpen experience too. We'll see how he fits into the Phillies' plans for the future. Just a lot to think about as we get into these final couple months of the season, into the playoffs, and then ultimately the offseason where all these decisions have to be made. My opinion, though, Kyle Schwarber is the number one priority to keep around here in the city of brotherly love in this Phillies lineup. They need him. He likes it here. He loves it here. He wants to be here. Get that job done and keep Kyle Schwarber around. Somebody that they could sign right now, actually, is David Robertson. You may remember that name. He's been around forever. He played for the Phillies in 2019. He also came back and played for them in 2022, that year that they went to the World Series. He is a free agent right now. Now, I've been talking about a lot of rumors here as we get closer to the July 31st trade deadline about possible trade targets, other rumors that make sense or don't make sense for the Phillies. It's only a couple weeks away, really just a few days away at this point. But somebody that can come in and help right this moment, don't have to trade, going to be cheap at his age, also going to be cheap just for the fact that he's still a free agent. There's only a couple months left of the season. David Robertson is a guy that can help the Phillies immediately in the bullpen. Obviously been a huge weakness for the Phillies in 2025, especially in the late innings, high leverage situations. They need somebody else in there, maybe even two guys. David Robertson can help. They could trade for somebody else. Maybe a perfect scenario for the Phillies. He is a 16-year veteran. He's a right-handed pitcher, a reliever, as I said. He hasn't pitched yet in 2025. He's been a free agent. But last year in 2024, he was with the Texas Rangers. He had a 3.00 ERA with 99 strikeouts and 72 innings pitched in that Rangers bullpen. He's had a very good career overall through his 16 years, even with the Phillies. He has a career 2.91 ERA, so sub 3. Very good. I apologize. Sorry. Anyway, 2.91 career ERA with 196 holds. He has 177 career saves as well. So he is one of those late inning high leverage relievers. We've seen him before. He had that injury back in the day with the Phillies as well when he was with them the one time. But he's a guy, as I said, you don't have to trade for. He's already there as a free agent. Only going to require a little bit of money. I say a little bit of money, but you know what I mean. Major League Baseball, that's a little bit of money. David Robertson can come in, help the Phillies in these last couple months. They can trade for somebody else, and then maybe your bullpen is not necessarily fully fixed, but definitely a lot better than it was most of the season here in 2025. Something for the Phillies to think about. His name has been high on the rumor mill here. I apologize again. A lot of teams have been interested in David Robertson. The Phillies should be one of them. Could be a nice little reunion for them. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Phillies Daily. I'm your host, Mike Kennelly. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. The Phillies are back in action today. Finally get to watch them play baseball again. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's a bad thing. But the playoff push is officially here, and the Phillies need to get started on the right track tonight against the Angels at Citizens Bank Park. And as always, go Phils.